Alright, well, it's Sunday afternoon here. I think yesterday was Cinco de Mayo, so I guess it's the 6th, 2012, if you're watching this years from now. Anyway, I was at my parents' ranch this weekend. I think I've mentioned this before in a couple other videos. And my parents have some property out near Comanche, Texas. And I was out there helping them with some stuff, doing a lot of mowing. Anyway, I had to run into town to get some more gear oil to put in the into the shredder, into the little gearbox of the shredder coming off the PTO shaft. And when I was in town, I was figuring, you know, what the hell, I'll just ask around. I'll just ask them at the auto parts store if they got any number 40 roller chain. And lucky for me, they did. And not only that, they sold it by the inch. So I only needed, I actually didn't measure this before I went out of town. So I just assumed I needed about 2 feet, which was, see, we got plenty of excess here. And this is actually about, so we got tons of excess here. This is actually about 27 inches of chain. It was a piece that they had already cut for someone, or a piece left over or something, but it was plenty for me. And so anyway, that was a bonus. They sold it, it was like 28 cents an inch. And I also give a little shout out to Carl's Auto Parts store in Comanche, Texas. I don't mind giving a little business boost, especially some little owner-operated kind of joint. But anyway, this worked out real well, because otherwise I would have had to gone to either, well, I guess here would be another plug, but either Northern Tool and Equipment or the Tractor Supply Company. And they sell it there, you can get it. The thing is, they only sell it in a box, and it's 10 feet long. Now you get 10 feet of roller chain and a master link, but it's like 20 bucks. And I don't need 10 feet. I don't even need 24 inches. I just need, it was like 18 inches or something like that. So, saved me a bunch of money. This was like $6 or something like that, plus tax. And I got a master link too. It's not in the video right now, but anyway, this is a number 40 chain, and it fits on there just fine. I'll kind of come up here and show you. Like I mentioned, this is this clutch. The sprocket on this clutch is good for, works with number 40 or number 41 chain. But this sprocket that I just installed, this is only a number 40. So just check with whoever makes your sprockets. Just check your equipment and make sure you know which size chain you need to run, and all that kind of stuff. And I'll come back here and show you. This rear chain's the number 41, and the one here in my hand is the new number 40 chain. And you can see a little bit of a difference. It's definitely wider. I think the rollers are the same diameter. I think the distance, the pitch, I believe it's called, the distance between the pins is a little bit more on the number 40 chain. You can go get online and double check what I just said, because I'm not 100% sure on that. Clearly it is wider, you can see that for sure. So I got my new number 40 chain, and I'll get it sized, and we'll get it mounted onto the bike. Alright, so I got the chain cut to size, or at least close to the size I need. I'll zoom in here. Right there you can see the master link. And to tell you the truth, this is a little bit too much slack. I'm not real happy with this. Unfortunately, what I'm going to have to do is come in here and wallow out all of these mounting holes again, and so I can pull the engine forward just a little bit. Doesn't need to go all that much. If I just get a little bit of slack in there, well, you know, half of this amount of slack, I'll be happy. Because right now I'm a little worried that this chain could jump off. So I'll come in here and I'll wallow out these mounting holes. I gotta take the engine off, which kind of sucks, but oh well. So I'll wallow out these holes and see if I can pull this engine forward just a little bit more. Okay, so I actually had plenty of room in my motor mounts, which are under here. Kind of hard to see it from this shot. But I was able to get the chain tensioned up. Just a very minimal amount of slack in there. That's just about perfect, actually. But I did have, like in the other videos, I have this engine bracket connected to the jack shaft, and then I have this bearing retainer that's actually bolted to the engine bracket. Well, I need to lengthen those bolts. As you can see, I got one here in the top and the one down low, which is right there. Oops, no it isn't. It's right here. It doesn't fit anymore. And I thought I drilled these out enough to have enough play in them, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna have to take this bearing retainer off, or the engine plate, and drill out those holes a little bit more so that I can get my bolts in and get everything tightened down. Okay, I got the bracket off the engine, and as you can see here, I enlarged these holes. I drilled them out 2 sizes, so these are now I believe 3/8 inch diameter holes. And while I had it out, I also put in 1 new riv nut. This one, effectively what happened was I got the, when I was putting this little screw in there to screw the chain shroud on, I got that little Allen head bolt a little bit cross-threaded, and it ended up spinning the riv nut in its hole. So the riv nut lost its grip. So I cut out the old riv nut. They're hard to drill out when they're spun like that, because they have nothing to grab onto. So when you drill it, the whole riv nut just spins. So I just flipped it over, came in here with the angle grinder, and just cut off the back end like that, and then just took a little bolt and just kind of pushed the remaining part of the riv nut through. So we'll get this put back on the engine and see if these holes worked out. Here's another thing I wanted to make note of. I mentioned in another video, one of the first test rides of this bike, that the inside of this clutch cover had paint on it. It's the same black paint that's all over this thing, and I didn't know. I went back and looked at the package. I still have the package for this, and it didn't say you need to sand that stuff off. But I'm going to come in here and sand it off anyway. Sand it off the end of this, and there's some kind of crud on the actual little hammers that spin out when the clutch engages. If you don't know how these things work, effectively they're RPM based, which is engine speed, of course. As it rotates faster, these little hammers spread out. That's why it's called a centrifugal clutch. Centrifugal force spreads out these little hammers, and these little half moon things in there are actually springs, and you can change these out to have the clutch engage at a lower RPM or a higher RPM. These are the standard ones, and I believe these engage at or begin to engage at least at about 2300 RPM. But you can adjust this just by changing these little springs. So anyway, I'll get some sandpaper and clean this stuff off, but first I'm gonna get that engine plate bolted back on the bike. Just wanted to make kind of a random point here. My neighbors have sprinklers that water the little 18 inches of grass they have there in their alley. They got another little sprinkler right there. I just find that to be a little bit ridiculous. I mean, who gives a crap? It's the stuff that grows in the alley. I mean, nobody else has that kind of stuff. And it's kind of funny because these people have one of these ultra fancy lawnmowers, and they want their yard to look like a golf course or something, but it just stands out like a sore thumb because it doesn't look like any of the yards in the neighborhood, and actually makes it look like crap. So anyway, just a stupid point there.